Very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Pavani. I hope you're doing good. The first item that we have, it's called Sage Advice. It's basically an advice or a sort of word of caution coming from Mr. Raghuram Rajan. Mr. Raghuram Rajan is a former governor of RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India. He has flagged three major sources of potential trouble that can lead to next financial crisis in our country. I'm sure you know that finance works like blood, in just like in our body, blood should be in a sort of liquidity state. It should not be too much liquid, it should not be too much solid. It should be somewhere in between, in moderation. In the same way, finance is such a thing that the flow should be, you can say, we need to have a sort of moderate flow to make sure that everything is going smooth as far as economy or business environment is concerned. Now, if there is financial crisis in the country, that means that everything will go down. You will lose your job, new jobs will not be created, people will not spend that much money, so economy will come down. I hope this makes a sense. It's just like, take example of a family. If a family will lose its livelihood source, then first thing that family will have to do is, of course, they will have to, members, they will have to cut down expenses, unnecessary expenses, because money. So what happens is you are spending less because you don't have that much money coming in every month or every year. So I hope this is making sense as far as this financial crisis is concerned and its impact on our economy. Now, he was in front of this Parliament's Estimates Committee on Bank Non-Performing Assets. Yesterday we talked about NPA. Day before yesterday as well, we talked about this NPA, what non-performing asset is all about. So if you are new to today's discussion, then please help yourself with yesterday and day before yesterday's analysis. Now, Mr. Rajan talked about these three sources, potential trouble sources. The first one is Mudra Credit, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. And this Mudra is about, they have under Mudra, you have three different categories, isn't it? Shishu, you have Tarun and Kishore. And total money, total outstanding bank credit, as far as this Mudra is concerned, right? It's 6.37 lakh crore. It's not a small amount. Let me tell you that it may be just 7% of the total outstanding bank credit. That means if throughout the country, all the banks, right, if they have given out, say, for example, 100 rupees, right, then just under Mudra, we have given 7 rupees. So that makes it 7% of this total credit that is given out, outstanding bank credit. Now, this 6.37, right, let me throw some light. Let's compare it with demonetization figure. A couple of days ago, RBI came out with this report that approx, right, I don't know the exact figure. I mean, as I'm speaking to you right now, that figure is not there with me, but it will help you. We are not here to, compare the facts. In the sense, we are not here to, this example is more for your understanding, right? You won't find this item in your examination, so don't worry about it. So, approximately 15 lakh crore rupees, are back with the bank in form of 500 and 1,000 rupee note. We are talking about demonetization. So recently RBI came out with this report that we have got back 15 lakh crore rupees. Now, if you are not aware, then let me tell you that at that point of time, if you calculate all the notes in the country that were in circulation in the market, 500 plus 1,000 note, they amounted for somewhere 86% of total cash that was there in the economy back in November 2016. So I'm just giving you a small example here. See that Mudra Yojana, we have given out what, 6.37. So if you compare it with 15 lakh crore rupees, then you find that roughly we are talking about what, 40% or something, 40-45% of total money that was out back in 2016. This much money is given to various different organizations or firms under this Mudra Yojana. So this is just to highlight how big this is. The second is Kisan Credit. Kisan means farmers credit card. So it's giving out loan to farmer, providing credit facilities to farmers. And the third one is Small Industries Development Bank of India provides this credit guarantee schemes for micro, small and medium enterprises. Now, of course, we need this sort of programs. They help a lot, but at the same time, we have to keep this thing in mind as well, that our banks, right, they don't have that much resources, they don't have manpower to catch each and every person who is defaulting loan under Mudra credit or Kisan credit and under this credit guarantee scheme for MSMEs. So far what we have observed in our country is that we have seen Vijay Mallya, or you see Nirav Modi, or who was his uncle, Mehul Choksi, right? All these big names are associated with NPAs, but yes, they do this bad thing called NPA, but that does not mean that we should let go of this, small, means we have to be a bit careful. I'm not saying that we don't need to give loans to small businesses. Of course you have to, because they are the ones, right? They are in big numbers. They are the ones who are providing highest amount of employment and things like that. So we need to look after them as well. But at the same time, it's going to be a bit dangerous, because if we see what's going on in our country, particularly this loan waiver thing, this whole fashion of loan waiving that has been started to win some political mileage, and it's a very bad thing. Let me tell you one thing, that see, this loan waiver thing, this loan waiver habit, or this you can say fashion of loan waiver is not effective, because there are three reasons. The first one is that in our country, maximum farmers that we have, right, are marginal and small farmers. Now this marginal and small farmers, they don't have access to, even today, right, even after so many schemes, they don't have access to formal source of loan. So they don't get loans from banks, right? Their first priority, the only place from where mostly they get their loan is private money lenders. Now, if you know the terms and conditions of private money lenders, they are going to charge you higher amount of interest. You're not going to make that much amount of money. It's a sort of desperate move that one has to make to borrow money from private money lender. Terms and condition, in the sense like you get money on the spot, cash on the spot, but if you don't pay back on time, then whatever small piece of land that you possess, right, that will be snatched away from you. This is the first thing that you need to keep in mind. The second thing is that these formal loans are predominantly given to medium and large farmers, and whenever government or any political parties, they like to talk about it too much, nowadays we find that it's in fashion, because let me tell you, at the end of this year, we are going to see, at the end of this year and the starting of next year, that is 2019, we are going to see that many states are going for their legislative assembly election. Mark my word, you will find at least once, right, at least, I'm saying, being very modest here, at least once you will find these political parties, they will be talking about loan waiver. They will definitely talk about this thing, loan waiver. They will say that we need to get rid of this debt that our farmers, or the burden of debt on our farmers and things like that. But the reality is, it's not the small farmers, this marginal farmers, they don't get covered. Whenever you come out with this loan waiver, it's only for those farmers who have borrowed money from a formal source. So it's not going to be beneficial for these small farmers. And the third thing is, and this is very important thing, RBI current governor Urjit Patel talked about this thing as well, and Raghuram Rajan as well talked about this thing. There are so many experts who said about this thing, and this is right as well. What politicians are doing, they are basically polluting, right, polluting this credit culture of our country. What is happening is that farmers are borrowing money, and they know that when elections will approach us at that point of time, or new government, when we will have new government at that point of time, they are going to waiver a loan. So there's no point of giving back money. Just borrow a loan and never pay back. This is a very bad thing. This is worst thing that you can imagine. So this is something that is not right. Apart from that, Raghuram Rajan has also advised on cleaning this banks, right, books of bank. Now, for what this book is all about, this is a balance sheet on your screen, and on one side you have assets and one side you have liabilities. So just imagine that this is a balance sheet of a particular bank called XYZ, for example. So money that is deposited by depositors, right, it is a liability for the bank, because this money belongs to a person called Mr. A. He has deposited 100 rupees. Now, of course, the money is with the bank at present, right? Bank can do whatever it fits is good for its business. It can do anything, right? But At the end of the day, one day, Mr. A will pop up and Mr. A will ask for that 100 rupees and whatever interest he has earned from this 100 rupees. So it's a liability. It can, at present, it is in the possession of this bank, but it's not bank's money. It has to give it back. So this is what liability is all about. And then you have assets. That means a loan, a thing that you have and you are giving it out to someone and you expect that you will make something out of it, isn't it? So we are talking about loan here. So money, say for example, bank has given out 1,000 rupees, right, as a loan. So it expects that it will earn at the end of the year, it will earn at least 100 rupees out of this 1,000 rupees, and it will get back this 1,000 rupees. So at the end of the year, bank will be having next year starting date, it will have 1,100, right? That's what asset is all about, because at present the money will be with you, but that money belongs to this particular XYZ bank. You have to give it back to the bank. So what is happening, this when you don't earn any interest, when this 1,000 rupee is not coming back as well, so what has happened is that you have generated a non-performing asset. That's what asset is all about. So it's a non-performing asset. You are not earning interest or you are not getting your principal amount back. So Raghuram Rajan has said that we need to clean this thing, clean balance sheet. That means whatever this NPAs are, right, take it away from this bank's balance sheet and give them a fresh start, give them a clean slate. And when you give them a clean slate, at that time make sure that these appointments, yesterday we were talking about this nexus, remember this political nexus, or this nexus between government, and then you have business people on one side, and then you have bank officials. So government will employ all those people who are ready to do, yes sayers, who are ready to give loan on liberal terms and conditions. They will not go for that much checking and things like that. So this will help with so many businesses, right? Particularly those businesses who are giving money to political party as donations. So this was a sort of vicious cycle. In fact, we see it even today as well. But professionalism of bank boards is very important, and he has suggested that independent bank boards bureau should look after it than inducting talent from outside. If we don't have good people, if we don't have talented people, then it's better to borrow it, or you can recruit someone from private sector. And banks should never be leaderless. So I believe this is one of the most important editorial that you find here. Apart from this one, this is number 2. Of course, it is important for your essay writing, for your GS. This one again is very important. So I hope things are clear to you now. Now, before moving ahead, dear friends, I would like to tell you that if you are preparing for UPSC exams, right, IAS or Civil Services Examination, then our Pendrive and tablet courses is available, and it is available just 22,500 rupees. If you compare it with the traditional or just normal tuition classes that we find, you pay on an average 2 lakh rupees or more. So check out StudyIQ.com to find out more about it. Now this article, I was talking about an education that is in sync. It is written by B.R. Grover, and B.R. Grover was a former VC of Homi Bhabha National Institute, and he was also a member of this Atomic Energy Commission, AEC. So this article is of course written by a person who has been there out there in the field, in education and gone through it in terms of education, and he has a very, you can say, practical as well as, we are talking about both practical as well as theoretical as well as life observation. So very interesting article. It starts with this some GER. GER is basically gross enrollment ratio. All you need to keep in mind is that it gives you gross enrollment, right? It's not a net enrollment. So big picture is that enrollment as far as education institutions are concerned in our country, or general education is concerned in our country, right? It is going up. That means enrollment is going up. So that means more and more students, right, are exposed to education system. So this is a good thing. Of course, when we compare it with 2004-5, it was 10%. It is 25.8% now, which is not bad at all. But the most important thing that is discussed in this article is about this Radhakrishnan Commission report. Now this RCR was released in 1950s, right? And this was the main person was Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishna. He was, as you know, Bharat Ratna scholar, philosopher, and it is because of it is on his birthday we celebrate Teachers' Day, which we celebrated a couple of days ago, isn't it? So Radhakrishnan Commission talked about or it touched important items, and I strongly believe that these items are valid even today, and they are going to stay forever as far as education is concerned. Now, what it is all about? In this report, they have talked about well-balanced education, an education system where you have, general component, you have liberal component, as well as you have occupational component. Generally speaking, or the negative side, what we find nowadays is that we find only this occupational, occupational component. So say, for example, if you're preparing for, or if you are studying in a college, engineering college or commerce college, right, all they teach you is that thing only, commerce and engineering. Generally, I'm giving you a rough idea of what's going on, but that's not what education is all about. We need to have, right, it should be there definitely, right, there should not be any excuse, or there is no way out as well. We don't have any option at all. That's what education is. We need to have both the general as well as your professional, or you can say not professional, but specialized, I would say, rather than, right, general and specialized education. It should be mix of both and best of both. So when we say general education, I mean to say that your communication skill, your behavior, your writing skill, your typing skill, typing in the sense how you are talking with someone, your behavior, how you are working under pressure and things like that, your awareness about what's going on around you. All these things, right, they are very important, very, very important. And if you go through the statement of Einstein in 1931, he said that the development of general ability of independent thinking and judgment should always be placed foremost. Can you believe this thing? A person, and Einstein is saying this thing, he's saying that acquisition of special knowledge, right, is secondary. Priority should be independent thinking and judgment. I'll give you a small example, right? You will observe this thing that when it comes to education, even today, right, the core of our heart, right, in the hearts of our heart, we have this thing that the more we study, the more hours we give. I find this question, you can say, every single day. So many students, they ask me this question, right? The students who have completed their bachelor's, many of them, they are in their master's, but they ask this question, that how many hours they have to study for competitive exam. And I'm not saying that they are, I was one of them a few years ago. So I'm not saying that I am great here. What I'm trying to say is that as time will go by, as you will get a bit more knowledge, a little bit, 0.5%, 1% extra knowledge you will get some life experience, then you will realize that it has nothing to do with quantity. It's about how focused you are. Even if you are with books, for 1 hour, to be honest, I have never calculated hours as far as my studies is concerned, because I always, and this is something that will help you with your preparation as well. I'll give you a very practical example. When you're reading a love letter, you never get bored whilst you are going through a love letter, if you have ever experienced this thing. And the second thing is, when you are with someone whom you love, you will never calculate time or something. If you are calculating, then you are wasting your time as well. So basically it's about quality of things that you do, how focused you are. If you are focused, it's just like that magnifying glass experience. You have this solar rays everywhere scattered, but when you have this magnifying glass, and when you focus it, it can burn anything you like. So that's what it is all about. So these are some basic things that we don't study in our school. We are never been taught to listen. Listening is one of the most important skill, right? Listening. If you don't, most of the problems you will find that people are not listening to one another. So these are the things we don't find in our education system, and these are the things that are important. In today's world, all these things are important. The reason why I'm discussing all these things, it's not extra lecture or dictating, or it's it's for your essay writing. As I told you that this type of education is such a topic that you find it's a favorite topic for essay, essay writing topic, and favorite in the sense that you find it's very important. And if you open your general studies paper, then you will find that every year you find a question on this education as well, how to improve it. So there are various different things we need to do. We need to give more autonomy as well to higher education institutions or other institutions. We need to have this sync, sync in the sense SYNC sync from right from the starting of lower level or your primary, from there to your postgraduate or PhDs. Everything should be quality, quality, quality. The other thing is, if you are a good doctor or policeman, good in the sense you are very good with your skills, you are a superb investigator like Sherlock Holmes, and you have this very good track record of surgery and everything. But if you are not treating your people very well, then you want to be able to, you won't succeed. You have to have this balance in today's world. And an experiment was conducted in USA. National Academies Press came out with this findings that when they added this arts and humanities with science and maths and other technical subjects, what they found is that there's communication skills improved, team working, problem solving, all these things. It was observed that all these areas, there was a development or improvement in this in the people who participated in this thing. So I believe I have said enough on this thing with this, dear friends, as we were talking about education. And I know that many of you on regular basis do share this lecture with other students, but I would request all those other students as well, I would really appreciate if you can pass me your answers in the comment section. I ask you questions on regular basis. If I don't ask question, then I find so many comments that why you are not posting questions. But if I post, if it is added, then you don't appreciate or you don't take part in it. This is not fair. You need to take part, and of course you please, if possible, right, it will just take a couple of seconds for you guys to share it. So make sure you share it, because I want to reach to all those students who are not able to access, they are not aware. I'm not talking about money or not money. It's about awareness. If they are not aware about this thing, then I want at least them to know this thing, that we do this sort of discussions on regular basis. You can download the PDF of today's lecture. So I do find this question as well, how to download. So this is my link here, right? Facebook page. Click this one. It will take you to my Facebook page, and you will find it there, right? A big picture of this PDF thumbnail will be there on my page. So click it and off you go. That's it. It's yours, this PDF file. Now, a prison of patriarchy, very true again in terms of essay and in terms of your general studies main paper. Just like education, women empowerment is also a topic. So what we find is that, and this is true as well, that marriage for women in our country, in our society, is a sort of career stopper, isn't it? And we find this thing in many advertisements in social setup, that the conditions are being laid down that that after marriage, even if you are engineer, or even if you are you have done something with art, or it's not about engineering only. If you are, say for example, if you've done BBA or MBA or something, then that's fine. You don't have to work. That's what conditions are laid. And this is one of the reasons why we find that in terms of higher education enrollment, right, we see the figures are going up. It was 46% in 2014, and it was 39% in 2007. But if you compare this rise in enrollment of girls in higher education, compare it with workplaces, then you find that the numbers are declining, because still we are in that patriarchal cage or mindset, right? And this is the thing, because of this sort of mindset, we find that our workforce participation, female workforce participation in our country, is the lowest in the world. Only 24% of Indian women, they participate in work. So that means nearly 26% of women, they don't, right, who are under this. When I said 24% of women, we are talking about that 76% don't. But if you compare it with like 50% of women, they have this. Our population, we have 50% women, and out of that 50%, if we take it at 100, then only a mere amount of women are working. The other thing is, in richer family, they have been said after marriage, of course, that there is no need, right, to go out and work. So working is not just about money, right? Of course, money is a very important aspect, but it's not just about money. I was in a book talk, and a very interesting thing was said in that book talk, in that discussion. And the speaker said that from the very childhood, you talk about so many grand things. You say that to a girl child that you'll become a doctor, you'll become a sort of, astronaut, or a good nurse, or you know what I mean. So first you throw some seeds of big dreams in that child's mind. So we'll go through all these things, and after that, right, she's been asked and persuaded to stop this career-oriented thing and get married and look after kids and other things. Now, that is not bad too, but the thing is, it should be her decision, right? She should decide. The other thing is, normally we find that people compare Indian culture with, this marriage system. We say that our marriage system is very strong and we don't find divorces taking place, but if you look at the thing, if you analyze, then you find that in foreign countries, particularly developed countries, you find most of the women, they are independent, right? Over there you don't have to quit your job. Over here you quit your job after marriage. Most of the time that's what happens. And because ladies lot over there, they are independent, right? Even after in case something goes wrong, if they find out that this is not working out, then they will, because they are earning, they can look after themselves, so they can take this decision. Over here it is more like Stockholm syndrome, where even if you are a victim, you feel a sympathy for the person who is oppressing you. So that's what this Stockholm syndrome is all about. So these are the things that we need to keep in our mind. And Supreme Court as well, this 25% threshold limit that has been decided, that in case of divorce, kids will stay with mother, and 25% of husband's net salary should be given to the lady for looking after herself and for kids, which is known as alimony. Now, can you imagine, out of 10,000 rupees, if just 2,500 rupees is going to that lady, now she is out of work, or she was never allowed to work, so she cannot find a good job out there. Whatever she will find will be more in informal sector, and you are just giving out 25%. So these are the things, right? Some new points as far as this woman empowerment and how to cage free our society. With this, dear friends, this one is about Article 377. Only one good thing that I find here, because we have talked about this 377 many times. It was back in 1949, precisely November 25th. And I'm sure you know the importance of November 25th. This is going to be your first question for the day. What is the importance of 26th November 1949? So, during this Constituent Assembly address, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that liberty, equality and fraternity, these are the three, you can say, union of Trinity. And if you take out one, then other two will fall down, and so will our democracy. So, as far as this 377 is concerned, right, the decision that was taken by Supreme Court is about liberty, equality and fraternity, and it's also, getting rid of this Victorian notion of public morality. Moving on to last item, it is about Uganda's new hope. And this Uganda, you have this Yoweri Museveni. Museveni has been ruling Uganda since 1986. After Idi Amin, he came in. At that point of time, he was known as beacon of hope, and he was compared with Nelson Mandela and everything. But now what we find is that he has turned out into a dictator, been running this show for the longest time, never allowing someone else to come in. And you have this youngster here, his name is Bobi Wine. He was a singer, and now he has entered into politics. The reason why we find this two gentlemen on news is because a rally was going on, and this man here, this Bobi Wine, was arrested, and he was beaten so badly that he was not, in fact, able to walk when he was there in the court. So Ugandans, they find a new leader, a new ray of hope in this man here. Let me quickly take you through the map of Uganda. As you can see here, this is Africa, and Africa's eastern portion. Here you find this country is Nairobi, this Kenya. Next to it, you have this Uganda. Lake Victoria is here, sharing its border with Kenya. Entebbe airport, very famous for this Israel's operation, if you are aware about it then. And 0 degree equator is also passing from this place. Capital is Kampala. And then you have Victoria Nile, you have this Albert Nile, Lake Albert and Lake Edward, and all these lakes here. So that's everything as far as articles are concerned. Now let me quickly take you through some important news items. Cabinet clears new procurement policy. The centre has announced 15,000 crore rupees for this minimum support price for oil seeds, pulses and copra. And it's going to be under this umbrella scheme called Pradhan Mantri Annadata Ay Sanrakshan Abhiyan. We are going to find more about it in near future. The second item is Mr. Jaitley has rejected this claim of Mr. Malia that Mr. Malia met Jaitley before leaving the country. To be honest, I have gone through his statement, and this statement coming from, I have gone through a statement coming from both the parties, and that's what I feel. That means officially Mr. Arun Jaitley said that this is wrong, and I think that Mr. Malia is wrong in this case. But anyways, here we go. It's a political thing. Now, no band-aid fix for fuel prices. That means Suresh Prabhu has said that it's not healthy to do some knee-jerk, or you can say there is no point of reducing the duties now and things like that. Things will be under control. That's what he has said. Dhanoa is the main man, head of our Indian Air Force, and he said that we need Rafale jets very badly. We need it for our protection, for our defense. Center has hiked ethanol prices. So here you can see killing two birds with one stone. So when you hike ethanol price, sugar production, surplus sugar production will be under control. So sugar prices, a very important commodity, it will be controlled because the sugarcane juice from sugarcane juice you can produce this ethanol, which can be blended with petrol. So it's a win-win situation both the sides. Good news coming from economy side that inflation is 3.69, which is a good thing, inflation in control. At the same time, industrial growth has been very good, 6.6, which is not bad. So it's a good news. And here we find job push. Government is planning to set up some 14 mega national employment zones to create more jobs, and people can find job and things like that. These are your vocabularies. Yesterday's map, this one is Catalonia portion of Spain, and this one is the other Spain. It's a state at present, but it has a bit of independence and things like that. It was in news because you see so many people, millions of them are out there. And here you have other details of Catalonia. So help yourself with it. It's easy read. And I have a very interesting question for you guys. Can you give me the name of this island, that you can give me some detail as well, why it is in news and things like that. Now remember, I'm not asking about Maldives. Maldives is here, and this is our Lakshadweep. So this islands here, this one in the red square. And these are your answer. This map, beg your pardon, this flag is of Spain, and this one is of Catalonia. And I have one more flag for you guys. A flag with 4 color. Interesting. Can you give me the name of this country? And these are your 2 questions. That's everything in today's discussion. Enjoy your studies. I'll see you all soon. God bless you all. Jai Hind.